Well, hey, you guys. So recently on the Ramsey show, we've gotten so many calls about financial infidelity. And what this can look like is everything from like a spouse hiding something, or even another spouse calling in and being like, I don't have access to our accounts and all of this. Like, it's just crazy. Like, the whole money and marriage thing can be so dysfunctional. That's why I hope that we can bring some function and healthiness to this topic. Now, this topic does come with a small disclaimer, because I'm not here to make you paranoid about your spouse, that they're keeping secrets and all of this, okay? And I'm not saying every single thing we talk about that you can like pick it out and be like, oh my gosh, something bad is happening. So everyone take a deep breath. But with that being said, I want to go over a few, we'll say orange flags to look out for when it comes to your spouse and financial infidelity. Now, they may be nothing, but they also could be good reason for maybe some conversations, to maybe start communicating more directly with your spouse when it comes to this topic. And it never hurts to just get ahead on deeper issues in life, right? So we're going to talk about 5 warning signs that your spouse might be guilty of financial infidelity. And stick around to the end, because I'm going to be sharing one thing that I'm convinced every couple needs to do when it comes to their finances. All right, the first warning sign to look out for is not having access to an account. So this is, again, several reasons that this is wrong, okay? But this idea that your spouse can keep something like an account, and for some people, even their checking accounts they run their household with, separate, and that you don't have access to it, okay? That is a major red flag, because in my opinion, marriage, you are one. In every aspect of life. Like, there are no secrets, okay? And people may be like, oh my God, Rachel, but no, I have access to phones and computers and bank accounts. Like, you are one living this life together. So that is a very, very red flag for me, to a point of financial abuse in some cases that your spouse won't let you see in. Or if you guys have your money separate and they're like, well, this is my money over here and you don't need to look at it. Red flag for me. The second warning sign that there could be some financial infidelity is, again, if your spouse keeps pushing that they just want to keep things separate. And this is a common excuse that I hear a lot. And I hear for some women, like, well, I just want to have independence on my spending. I don't want him feeling like he can like watch over every little thing I do. And then some guys are like, I don't want a nagging wife and I make this money and I get to say and do what I want. Like, whatever it is, okay? It's this idea of completely living separate. And so my question would be the why. Why is that? Now, maybe you're on a second marriage, and the first marriage, your spouse took everything financially, left you in a hole, and there's a lot of wounds and scars there. Totally understandable. I do think there's a level of health that I would want you to work through to get to another conclusion there. But there are reasons people do this, right? So it doesn't mean that they're completely, committing financial infidelity. But if there is this abstinence, I'm not going to give you a good reason of why I just want to keep things separate. I would definitely raise a flag. And let me just say, you don't lose your independence when you get married, to a degree that you are still you. Like, you are still an individual. Even with therapy, I'm like, go do your individual work. Like, you're an individual person. But when it comes together of living life and running a household, though, that's where the team aspect, I think, is really important. All right, the third warning sign that your spouse possibly could be committing financial infidelity is if you have to ask permission before you spend anything. So if your spouse says, hey, I need you to tell me every little thing that you do with money and I need to see it, there's a little bit of a control issue there, okay? So the way you can combat this is to have a budget, and that each spouse has a line item, right? I have a line item, Winston has a line item, and I go and spend. I go and buy Target skirts, and I go and do what I want with that money, right? And that's not a bad thing. And if Winston wants to know and ask, I'm not hiding anything 100%, but we've already agreed on the amount of what we're spending. And so that, to me, is the important part of, hey, this is where our money's going. Now, if they are hiding what they are buying, that's one thing I would be concerned about. Okay, why is that? But number 2, if they need that much control over you, I think that there's a level of unhealth there that you have to tell them every little penny you've spent. I don't think that that's a point that is good. But I think, again, what bothers me is that you have to ask permission. It's like you're getting an allowance, and it's like more of a parental relationship than a spousal relationship. So that's a red flag. All right, before I share the rest of these warning signs, I want to tell you about a faith-based alternative to health insurance that can make healthcare more affordable. And that's Christian Healthcare Ministries. So CHM allows members to share each other's healthcare costs And it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. So step 1, choose the healthcare provider you want. Step 2, submit your eligible bills. And step 3, get reimbursed. CHM members take care of your eligible medical bills. And with no networks and the freedom to choose your healthcare provider, CHM is the best option for Christians who want to take care of their families and help other believers. So find out more at chministries.org/budget. The fourth warning sign is if you spot weird charges and your spouse gives you really vague explanations. Again, secrecy in marriage, not good. It's like a cancer. It's poisonous. It's toxic. It will slowly eat away at the trust that you have within each other. And it's terrible. And so, again, if either one of you feels like you need to hide something from the other, that lack of honesty and transparency it's a threat. And even if something is truly just innocent in the terms of infidelity, think about why you need to keep that Nordstrom's shopping spree, away from your husband. Like, why? Ask that. Or, if you're a guy and you go out and you buy some new electronic equipment or whatever it is, and you're like, oh, I can't tell her about that. Those are questions that I would say, why? Start digging into that. All right, the fifth warning sign is finding a bill or a statement from an account, service, or card that you don't know about. Again, this is another example of that financial secrecy because you both should be involved and have full access to your accounts, saving, investing, checking, you name it. And you should know about those accounts. So that's a big one. If there is a secret account, in my opinion, that is a red flag. That is financial infidelity. All right, here's the thing. I do not want to scare you, right? Or convince you of what your relationship is when it's not that, okay? So have some grace. I remember I had this lady come up to me one time and she was like, oh my gosh, my husband totally hid all these purchases from me. And I was like, oh no, what happened? And she literally was like, well, he went to Chick-fil-A 3 times last week. He never told me and all this stuff. And I was like, there may be forgetfulness on one spouse's end, okay? So there's some grace here. I don't want to be legalistic about it. But here's the reality. Money continues to be a common conflict within marriage. So I want you to be on guard. I want you to stay ahead of miscommunication. And if mistrust starts to build up over the long run when it comes to money, it's going to seep out into other areas of your marriage. All right, I want to share with you my number one tip for married couples and what you need to do together when it comes to your money. And that is Financial Peace University. So this is our 9-lesson course. And if you and your spouse have not taken this, sit down together and just binge the videos. Be able to say, hey, we have done this together. We are on the same page. We are using the same language around money, the same plan. It's a really amazing thing. And Dr. John Deloney and myself, we're going to be covering the benefits of all of this when it's getting on the same page with your spouse when it comes to your money at our Money and Marriage events. So we have a couple of fun things going on. So here in 2025, our Money and Marriage getaway is coming February 13th through the 15th. And so if you want to secure your spot, go to ramseysolutions.com/marriage. And if you haven't checked out my episode on 5 areas that can make or break your financial success with Dr. John Deloney, make sure to check that out. All right, you guys, as always, make sure to take control of your money and create a life you love.